Hello Darklings, my name is Sanniz. I'm an Eldergoth from Sweden. I thought we should go a little down on the memory lane, but first we take the intro and see you soon. Hello Darklings, my name is Sanniz and I'm from Sweden, and I thought it was time to go down on the memory lane to the younger days, and I'm inspired by John, that is the health anarchist on YouTube, and you can also go and check his video. I can link to it so you can go and watch it. And he was talking about how it was to be a goth before internet, and that actually started to get me to think a little about things too. I'm not gonna try to drag it out or something. Just gonna tell a little about things before and in the beginning of internet, when it still was not as good as it is today, because much have happened since then. It's so many years back in time. And to start with, I was very darkly inclined already as a child, so that is nothing new with me. I like all the spooky type of things and being in graveyards and cemeteries. I loved to play them when I was a little kid, even if the grown-up didn't like it. I did like it. And when I didn't play, I went to see how old people was and that type of things, because I already back then was so curious and so fascinated to see what was going on. And a lot of graves could be looking really fantastic. And I really loved being there too. I was sometimes a little strange kid, because I could be with other kids too, but sometimes I prefer to be on my own too. So I'm a little kind of an introvert most of the times, but when I be social, I can be very social too. So people don't even know that I am an introvert from start. That's what I'm trying to say. So, shall we jump a little further? Then we go some years more, and it's still before Goth started. Then, as a kid, one of my biggest TV series I loved to watch was Addams Family and Kids. I'm not talking about the modern versions. I talk about the black and white Addams Family. I think her name was Catherine or something that played Morticia. And yeah, I did love that version the best. First time I saw it, it was of course scaring me, but after I get used to it, I loved it. And I did watch it. Every time when I heard that song coming up, I was running through the TV. And we didn't have color TV in the start, so it was black and white we watched it in. So the original is my favorite still, and it's great memory too. And that shows that when it comes to ghosts and all that type of things, I was already very darkly inclined. And then you grow up, being a little older, teenager, started to listen to music. You still have the radio channels and that type of things, but it was still very hard to get into the music and different type of things first. And when I was a teenager, the punk scene started to explore a little more, be popular to be in. And many of us youngsters back in the days when we were around 13, 15 years old were hanging together. It was we against the other kids, because we were not that many, and that also meant that we were listening to each other's type of music. So I could listen to punk, I could listen to metal, I could listen to what we call synth music, that is like the Depeche Mode, the Kraftwerk and those type of bands. Because in Sweden we have that thing specified to that type of music. So that was not under the goth umbrella either in our case, because that was synth music. And we call the people that listen to that for syntare. And yeah. And then you started to get cable TV, and then you got, of course, MTV, and you got the Tube sometimes on some channels. And the Tube was from UK, and one of the hostesses was Paula Yates, and she I think she was married with Bob Geldof first, but then during that time I think she met Michael Hutchins or something from In Excess. He's not alive anymore, but they went together and had a baby. But that's not have nothing to do with this. I just wanted to say that this is the program I was watching, and this was the way I discovered music before internet too, because we didn't have computers. That was before internet, before Google. Can you think about that, kids? We have to search for things on paper or using the landline and call around. And hopefully our parents didn't catch us phoning abroad, because that should be a huge bill. Even if you phoned outside that zip code you lived in, so that could be expensive too. So it was not very popular when we tried to chase things. But back to the younger days. Yeah, we hang together, and that means that we were listening to different kind of music, and now that kind of music that started to be the beginning of goth music, like Sisters of Mercy, Sue and the Banshees, The Cure, and those type of bands started to show up on the lists too. Many of those were very popular even on the ordinary music lists. So that's how I discovered them, and I knew that my friends that was in the different type of scenes when we were hanging together didn't think I fitted in, and I never thought I fitted correctly into them either. I did enjoy to listen to that music too, but it was this type of music that caught my attention mostly, and my friends didn't like that. They thought I was a little bit weird. Yeah, weird inside the weird kids. You see, you can't be for everyone. But at least we were hanging together, and that was we against the mainstream case. Of course we have some magazines, but they were mainly what was on the top lists, or metal bands, sometimes some TV stars and that type of things. Not that much that we were introduced to the label Goth. That was way too early, at least where I lived. So it took many years, and when I was listening to John's story about his younger days before internet, and I'm sorry if you hear a lot of noises in the background because it's very hot and humid, and I have the window open, but I had to stick off the fan at least, because else you couldn't be able to hear what I'm saying. So when before internet, so I was still a young adult and everything like that. I have, of course, even have those phases when I listen to other type of music, like metal music in the top. I had the period when I was listening a lot to Wasp and Mötley Crüe and that type of bands. But I know a lot of other Eldergoths that was just in the same position. And that shows you don't have to stick in one box, because you are going to be so limited with everything. And I don't think it's good for your creativity either to limit yourself to just one bit. You can love something more than the other things, but you can still listen to other stuff too, or do things that people don't expect the goth to do. But back to my younger days before internet. Yeah, we had cable TV, and everything went from there. And 88, I was 20. The computers started to come because we had them in school, but still not internet in the same way that we thought up. So I was thinking, when I was listening to John and his things, that when did I have my computer? So I was thinking and thinking and thinking. I know that was before 2000 at least, because I know that I was hanging on the internet back then. And then I'm thinking, so it must be somewhere in the 90s, maybe on the later half. I'm not 100% sure exactly when I got my first own, because I know I had a boyfriend who had computers, but it was mainly for like playing on. It was first like the Commodore 64, and then you got Amiga 200, and then I think he got Amiga 2000 too. So it was mainly for playing games on them. And I was not really a gamer back then. I did enjoy C64 for a while, but that was more simple type of playing, and I did like to go and do those flipper games in the arcade too when I was a little kid. But not that much when it comes to computer and that type of games. It's never been my thing really, because I like to do things more physical in that case. So yeah, the computer started to get better, and I got my first little better internet, still very crappy compared with today, and we called it ADSL, ADSL. I don't know if you have the same term in English, but that means that you have the same jacket to your computer's internet like to your landline of the telephone. So that means every time you're gonna use it, you didn't have any combinations. You have to plug in either the landline phone or the computer to get the internet. You can't have both at the same time. So every time you were on the computer and someone tried to call you, especially when you tried to download things, everything was interrupted. And you, for fuck's sake, I had tried to get this fucking song for a long time, and you were frustrated. And that was before they even got programs that did it make so you could continue where it was ended for the time. So that was the best thing that happened back then. But it was slow, you had to be patient, and it didn't work all the time. But that was also the way that I started to know more people outside. I even discovered the label Goth, and I saw the band they were saying was inside the Goth thing, and I was thinking, okay, now I know. I was already very black dressed and everything back then. But before we continue, I'm gonna start to show you myself before 2001, and it's here. And I was blonde because I'm born blonde, so I didn't color my hair. But around 2001, after a very hard traffic accident that almost killed me, I was dead for a while, that I decided to, why should I listen to everybody else and think what they're thinking about me? So then I started to get my piercings, started to getting tattoos, and started to color my hair black. So I'm gonna show some pics how I look like in the beginning of 2000 up to maybe 2005-06 somewhere. I don't have that many pictures left because I lost a lot of different reasons later in my life. Plus I didn't have time to save pictures that I had on some type of, when I had my own homepage for a moment too. And I had even parts of that was describing how to be goth back in those days. So yeah, it was a little funny that type of way too. But it was a lousy way to be connected on the internet because the internet was not that good, and it was for a very long time we only had that type of solution. But it started. We didn't have that much shops on the internet either. You had a few of the bigger brands that you could see, like Lip Service and that type of things, but it was still a big hustle. It was already back then very expensive, at least for me as a Swede, to order something from them. And I didn't know that many shops. We started to have some shops in Gothenburg, and we had some shops even in my town. We don't have any nowadays. Many years ago the last one disappeared, and it's sad. And even in Gothenburg most of them have disappeared too, because everything is about money nowadays, and you can't really keep the alternative people when you start to change the shops things for getting to a bigger shopping customer circle, whatever you should call it, because then it's not for the alternative people anymore. It's just for what's fashion right now when it comes to the ordinary kids. And everybody knows that alternative people have never followed the rules when it comes to what's trendy right now. Even if we can say, yippee, it's trendy to have other types of clothes or colors or whatever it is for the moment, so it's easy to get access to something you maybe like or could use, but that's all. And before that I had to go to normal shops, hope for the best, hope it was trendy to have black clothes for the moment. And I even remember before 2000 I had a boyfriend that was used to see me black, dressed in black, and yeah, after a while he was a bit tired of that, because I suddenly started to get these things, but you know that things are also available in colors. And I was looking at him, what do you mean? It is a color. Because that was a color I prefer. I still do, by the way. And yeah, so it was not the same. And if you're gonna buy things, so back in the 80s, in the end of the 80s, I think the CD started to come, but I have always loved the vinyl much more. I don't have anything anymore because I lost them too in a very sad moment when I did a divorce many years back in time. But that was either me sitting here now or them coming with me and I maybe not have made it because I was so mentally destroyed by my ex. So I had to skip some parts of my life, unfortunately, and that even came with old photos. So yeah, it was very hard back then. If we go back in time, the CD started to come, and me and some others didn't like it, because when you have a vinyl, of course it's much bigger than that type of thing, but it's a complete other vision. And I understand exactly what John tried to say about the difference. It's much bigger, you got these odd things, but it was one more thing that was the best when you bought that type of things. Because if you were lucky, they had included other type of stuff inside these things too, like posters or whatever, so you could get more things inside it too. You can't put everything down in a CD cover or something like that, because it's no space. So, and before that we even had cassette band and did all those mixtapes and that type of hustle, especially when the tape recorder tried to destroy your favorite band too. Sometimes you try to repair it, but after a while maybe it was impossible, and you have to realize my favorite band is now out of order completely, so you'd have to go on. Yeah, so you see, I'm a little jumping forwards and backwards, but this is the way about memory lanes, that sometimes you remember something, oh, I forgot to say about that, and I forgot to say that, because for me it's one thing that I have lived through. And people that have always grown up with internet and Google and all the possibilities with buying things over internet, they maybe not understand how we had it, but I still think those times, even if it was harder, it was easy to actually connect with people, and we connected even in the real world. We were meeting up, hanging together, listening to music. Sometimes could go out to a lake, have a barbecue, and have those big cassette players with us, and play our favorite music and just have a good time together. And yeah, we didn't have to go to a club all the time. Just hanging together was enough, and listening to the music. And yeah, and it was even easier when you got your driving license, because then you can start to drive to other cities too and discover clubs and all that type of stuff. We didn't have that much here in Malta. We had one club, and that club was often combined with something else, because we're not that many in my city compared with a lot of others in US and UK and that type of things, because Sweden is maybe a big country when it comes to the land itself, but when it comes to the population, we're not that many, and we are mainly living from middle of Sweden down to the south, so the north part is even less people compared. But yeah, we had our fun and everything, and yeah, the CD came, and the computer started to be a little better when it comes to save up things, so you could actually use those CD-ROM, and you have this CD burner, so you could do some similar type of things like you did for your cassette tapes with friends, with your mixtape and favorite tapes, and especially when you have your player in a car, that was very popular to put that together. And then you got those multiplayers too, that you can load with a lot of different CD-ROM things to disk in them, so you didn't have to change or put it on repeat all the time, so you can have actually up to a certain number of different ones, so that means a lot of music at least, but still you have to change it manual when you were tired of something. But that was time too, and life goes on. And from 2001 I started to change my look much more, so I started to have a much more extreme look, and I can show it here on some video clips with some pics. You have probably seen them on some shorts and that type of things when I posted it too. And a lot of things I was making myself. I did a lot of do-it-yourself. I'm sad I lost a lot of pictures, because then I could show even more outfits. I actually made everything from scratch, or when I find details from other stuff that I used to add on other stuff. So you did everything personally. You didn't have Killstore and those type of things directly, so you had to do your own thing. And thrift shopping started to be expensive already many years back in Sweden. At least I didn't think it was worth it, so I actually sew my own things. I even sew things in PVC, because I love this shiny type of look too. But I was much more creative when I was younger, and I didn't have the problem with my fingers in the same way like I have now. And I have a little more energy too. So I think when you get older, you're gonna understand yourself if you don't have the energy to keep up with everything you did as a youngster. Because when you were a youngster, you wondered, how the heck did I do everything in that short time, or be able to stay awake and still continue the next day without a problem. Because today I should be naked for days if I'm gonna do something similar, because that should kill me. At least worldly, not maybe in real, but it should feel like that should kill me. So everything changed, and with internet starting getting better, it was easier to get access to music. And in the beginning, it was much easier to even talk directly to the band or the artist itself, because many had pages like on Vampire Freaks and that type of thing, and you connected with people all over the world, and mainly in UK and US, because they were biggest often on the things. And now at least you know the label, and felt now I know what I belong to. I'm a goth. That I've always been, because I listened to that type of music. My friends always thought I was a little more weird than they were, even if they were not seen as the normal kids either. But you know, punks and that type of things, they are different too in their way, but we all hang together. And I think when you listen to a lot of people from the older days, they have similar type of grown-ups. If you don't come from a very, very, very big town, so you had enough of everyone, so you could just be this little group of same type of kids. But when you come from a smaller place, we are hanging together, and that seems like be a common thing from a lot of different places all over this world when it comes to goth. So at least I knew I was home. I knew what I was. I am, and I was a goth already back then. I was a goth before I even knew the word goth, and before internet. But now it was much easier. Before, when you're gonna have music and you discover it in the beginning, when internet still was lousy. But this was when you hanged on Vampire Freaks and that type of things, and the other type of alternative places when kids were talking with each other, and you discover the best. It was much easier. Even on YouTube, it was so much easier to get music, and you can play the music in the background, for example, without having those claims all the time for copyright and that type of thing. So you can listen thinking, oh my gosh, I like that. What was that? Can you tell me? And people told, or the artist themselves, if there was their own things told. And sometimes you order directly from the artist, and you got a personal letter back with a CD or something, and that was amazing too. And yeah, you had a much more closer connection with everyone, and it was also an easy way to get to know even more music that you have missed out, because it can be so different from country to country, and I guess even like in the States, because US is so big. So it can be different from one part of the US to the next one. So it was so much easier to share the different things and discover new things, and without having all those copyright claims all the time. Of course, it was not legal to do those mixtapes back in the days too, but we didn't get punished directly for them anyway. Now it's much more harder with a lot of things, and you can actually be hunted down by some people that want to take that right away from people, and don't understand that it actually can be a privilege too when it comes to discover new music. And I think YouTube should go back a little in time to do that type of things, because if you talk about music or want to introduce a band or something, I think that's a great way to create interest, so people are curious, want to know more. And if that works like back in the days, if I liked something I was listening to, I was like, ooh, I like this. I downloaded the album. I like this even more. It was not just that song on that album, because sometimes it could be a hassle even when you should buy things, because you didn't want to buy a whole album with a lot of songs and discover it was only that song that was yours. Then it was better to buy just a single and hope they have it on the single too. But that was not always the case. So then I often had to go to Gothenburg, to the bigger record shops, because the one in my town didn't want to do all the hassle. You have to go there. They didn't take any catalogs and try to find it on paper if they had this. And if they found it, they had to send it by proper mail over to the States, for example, if it was from the States or from UK. Order it, then you have to wait maybe for weeks before you even got it, and then you got this phone call, now you can come and get it. So you even have to plan so you could go and get it. And it was not easy before you have your own driving license either, and the parents don't directly want to drive you all the way just for one album. They didn't really understand this passion for music in that same way. So I want to show that we have to work hard for getting our stuff. It was a lot of do-it-yourself things, and it was a lot of work to even get the favorite albums sometimes, because they were not available in the same way if it wasn't like a bigger band like The Cure or something that was popular even when it comes to the normal kids, if they had that type of period in life. So then it could be a hassle, and it was a very few record shops. Then you had to go to Gothenburg that had this type of a little more odd section, or whatever you should call it, where you could stand and look, oh, I like this, oh, then I have the band that I like, and that type of things. But compared with the whole record shop, it was a little bit section that was just that type of things, and the rest was other type of stuff. So it was so much easier to be a metalhead, at least back in the days, than compared to being goth or some other type of similar type of odd subculture compared with that type of things. I think even the punkers had a little more easier, but they still have to struggle too. So that shows a little how hard it could be to get the music. And of course, everything evolved, and then we started to get a bit better internet, and then all the other stuff started to come up, and yeah. Well, people started to be a little more selfish too, unfortunately, and then it started to be more about money. And yeah, you see how it goes with all evolution. It's like with everything else, but I still have hope for the subculture. I do love to see youngsters discover my favorite music. I do love them to take it into their heart and soul. I don't like gatekeepers. You can teach people about things, but being a youngster and tell people that you're not right or that type of things, and they want to label you into a box. And what I want you to do is, if you have a podcast with Cemetery Confessions, or if they maybe even put it up on YouTube, I haven't checked yet if that latest episode is there, they actually talk about those things too, how it was back in the days, and when it comes to goth with colors. And I don't mean the clothing, that I mean the skin color, but I must also add my point of view when it comes to goth with colors, that back in the days when I was younger, we didn't really think about if you had black skin or red skin or yellow skin or white skin or whatever you have, because you're still goth. So I think that's why I'm a bit confused today when we have all those things with racism and that type of thing, because I don't really support that part. And I think we should be happy if we are all around the world can discover the same type of things too. And I don't want people to claim just one part can belong more than the other, because it's not that thing. Because there's many colored people that have started music and be the base for some of the music too. So we can't take them out from the equation either. Even if when you Google on Goth, you see mainly pale people that even look paler than me. I am very pale, but compared with their pictures, I don't look that pale if I'm not maybe in the same type of environment, and you can see how I look like compared with that. But right now I don't look that pale compared, because I have another type of lighting, so maybe I just look a little more normal but still pale. Because I don't have any sunburn. But yeah, I just wanted to take you down a bit on the memory line, and just tell that be happy that you live in this time when it's so much easier to get access. But I also wanted to go back to the roots with how everything started. And I mentioned that in the Cemetery Confessions too, that people should have forgot about that bit too, because everything is not about Killstar and buy expensive stuff or just be in one box, because the most important thing they actually said, and I have also said, don't stick in just one box. Don't label yourself in just one box, because they're gonna stop your creativity and they're gonna stop you from growing as a person too, because you need to take in things from other things too. The artists do it just the same. If they're just gonna stick with their own type of music they do or similar, they shouldn't evolve either. And if you listen to artists when they tell about the background or the inspirations, you're gonna see why I say that, because they can have so wide thing that gives them their creativity. So don't forget that. Don't put yourself inside just one box. And yes, you can listen to other type of music. Yes, you can love other type of music. Yes, you can be both a goth and metalhead if you want to. It's up to you. No one else can say it's wrong, right, because it's just what you feel inside. As long as you say you're goth and listen to the goth music, I think it's most important. And you don't have to look like one, but if you love to be one and look like one, do it. Show your creativity in your way. But you don't have to look like everyone else. You don't have to look like the most popular influencers either. Create your own style. That's what matters. Be yourself. Be honest to yourself, and you're gonna see you're gonna be so much happier inside too. And I'm not gonna bother you more, because this is gonna be a very long video too. But I just wanted to go a little back in the memory lane too. I don't know if you like this type of content. Just tell me if that's something you want to listen to more. But I want to thank you to John that actually got myself thinking a little bit back in the days and make me miss the friends I had back then, because the most of them left the scene somewhere around 2005 2010. For them it was just a phase. But look here, I think I'm a living proof that it's not have to be a phase. If that's what you are, stay there. Don't change. Be yourself. And if you're new to my channel, like my type of content, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss anything. All the returners and darklings, love you all. Thank you for support. Give me likes and comment. Are you a goth? How did you get into the goth subculture? What was your first memory back in the days? Are you an Eldergoth like me? And were you a goth before Google and internet? Let me know. That should be very interesting to read. Else, stay safe, stay weird, and be nice to each other. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Bye.